I wonder what Bryan Danielson is going to be eating for Thanksgiving. French cheese? Maybe a brie? Ah, do you get it? Do you get what Nigel was saying? It's because his wife is named Brie. Aha! 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 So yeah, happy Thanksgiving, folks. I'm John Retton with my review of AEW Dynamite Thanksgiving Eve. And you know what that means? It's time for the hat. You guys like the hat. So any wrestling reviews that I do, any holiday-themed movie reviews that I do, the hat will stay on during the reviews. What the fuck did you think I was implying? So they were at the Pinnacle, where the Worms play Pinnacle with your snout, and they were in Nashville, Tennessee. And I will say this much, I like the more intimate venues that they shoot TV in like this. It at least has a hot crowd. It doesn't feel as empty, as echoey. And of course, it is time for the Intercontinental Classic. It is the Blue League and the Golden Shower League. I'm going to make this as uncomfortable as possible. Okay, here are my predictions for what I think the semifinals and finals will be. By the way, I think Okada and Fletcher, and I think Takeshita and Kevin Knight. And I think it's going to be Okada and Takeshita in the finals. I actually think it's pretty much almost got to be Okada and Takeshita in the finals. Because you got to do that. Even if, of course, you know, we're coming up on the Dome where Okada's going to take on Tanahashi. And Takeshi's going to take on, I think, Yota Tsuji. Those are my predictions. I don't actually know if that's actually going to line up fully. I wouldn't mind seeing Okada not making the finals, but I just can't see Tony Khan resisting doing that. So, yeah, in all seriousness, happy Thanksgiving, folks. However you celebrate. Remember, family by blood or just by friendship. You don't need blood to be family. Appreciate what you have. Be thankful for who is around. Be thankful for the people that stuck with you. And if you just have yourself to rely on, you know what? Remember that there are people out there that do care about you. And also lend a helping hand if there are people that need help. Donations, that kind of stuff. It's always appreciated, especially during these tough times. Everybody deserves to have a nice holiday. So that being said, happy Thanksgiving. Let's get on with this. Excalibur is terrible at pitching to anything and running down cards. He is terrible at this. So I'm thankful that Excalibur, you know, is easy to just not listen to, and you can just skip over some of his bullshit. Because I gave him a long leash. He's just not good. So by the way, the Continental Classic rules are 20-minute time limit, 3 points for a win, however you win, 1 point for a draw, obviously a loss gets you nothing, and everybody is banned from ringside. Okay, I appreciate the fact that they are doing that, and I understand what they're trying to do, but this basically shines a bright light on the fact that Tony Khan could just go back to basics, could make sure nobody could interfere. We stop having all this interference, making the referees look stupid. Why don't you just do shit like this for the next 4 months? Do it until Revolution, or do it until Double or Nothing. And then when you have interference, the fans might actually react. Now, it might be too late to put the genie back in the fucking bottle, but you could at least reel it back a bit, and then it might fucking work. Because, yeah, it was a little bit refreshing, but well, whatever. Callis is on commentary for Fletcher versus Okada. Proto-Okada, Flesh Star, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So, it is the Blue League. I believe Blue League. Bitch. Referee Rick Knox, he is terrible. I am thankful that I do not have to be anywhere near Rick Knox and see just how bad of a referee he is. And I was at a couple Wrestle Dreams, and he's terrible. He's even worse in person because he literally looks like he doesn't even draw breath. Like his lungs cannot take on any air. The crowd is up for it. Hey, Okada was actually trying and doing shit. I was impressed. I know that he's a little bit beat up, absolutely beat up that is, and he's not going to give 5-star Okada matches on TV, nor does he need to. But it was nice to see him try. There was a big superplex to his pop. There was a point where, you know, Fletcher got knocked into, the referee got knocked into the ropes, and Fletcher got crotch, and then Fletcher did that to Okada a little bit later. They were all begging off. Like the people at the Salem witch trials that Rick Knox no doubt was part of because he's that fucking old. And we get a drop kick. We get a very lame tombstone. I mean, I don't want people spiked on their heads, but good God, that was terrible. The Michinoku driver to a big pop. That was nice. And then we got a lariat. And then we got a, big old, bomb. 1, 2, very, very close. Very close 3. And then the referee kind of got distracted, possibly by the fact that somebody was chasing after him, with a net to put him back in the grave they dug him out of, or he escaped. We got an eye rake and then an attempted rainmaker, and no! Roll up 1, 2, 3. Fletcher beats Okada once again because he beat him at some point. I don't remember when, because all this stuff kind of blends together. But Okada looked shocked. We got a new reaction image, and let's move on. Kenny is going over this elite stuff and says, well, if my friends are willing to accept me and the fans are willing to accept me for all the bad stuff that I did, then I can extend the same to the Bucks. And Kenny really hasn't done anything bad for a while. He came back from his, diverticulitis and everything and has done stuff, but he hasn't done anything terrible. They're going back to this elite well when the elite stuff has been terrible for months and years. And there's a dwindling fan base that cares about this. Mark Briscoe is very, very grateful for the fans sticking by him, for family, for the conglomeration. I think he probably could have put the pecking order a little bit, more varied than that. But he even thanked his brother. And, it was a nice emotional promo after Full Gear. And then the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, took on the Babes of Wrath, Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, in a semifinal match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. That's a tournament, by the way. And I don't know who the young lady was that had the fan, but said, wrestling is gay, make it gayer. That was a fan. That was cool. That was cool just because it was nice that they got that shot. The crowd was into it, but good God, there were some problems, some major problems with this. There was one where Harley and Sky had a communication issue, and they picked about 5 or 6 different corners, and that was uncomfortable. And look, they're young, and they are trying hard. They are. But Julia went for that moonsault, totally missed it, and instead of just rolling through, hitting the leg drop, she jumped up and hit an elbow, and oh, good God, the crowd farted on it. A Dr. Bomb won it. Julia got folded up. It was not that good. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. I mean, great that the Babes of Wrath won. Yeah, there were just too many things that I couldn't ignore in that. So Shivani brings out Joe for his celebration. And they sent Tony away immediately. And Hobbs and Shibata and his new brain are there. And then suddenly Swerve shows up. Nana gives him a staple gun. And Swerve has a chain. And then Hangman walks from stage left, or stage right, stage left even, and has a chain himself. And then they seemingly just disappear because Shibata goes to get the Goon Squad. I'm on the Goon Squad. He gets scrubs. Apparently, Shibata and Joe never listened to TLC at all. And Joe is very good at this. Joe just unfortunately is working with, a bunch of scrubs. And nothing against these guys. I'm sure they're just happy to be on television. But oh boy, a package on how Hook, all the little seeds were planted. I think it was just a convenience thing because I don't trust Tony Khan to be smart like this. Where Hook, conveniently tapped out very quick and did some stuff and did just enough, but he obviously ended up, it obviously was telegraphed he was going to turn. I mean, they got me at Full Gear, I'll give him that. His new theme sucks. He says he's the greatest second-generation wrestler that this business has ever seen. At least he believes it. Unfortunately, he's in the same fucking place he was when he got in the ring 4 years ago on AEW programming, or just about 4 years ago. Swerve's theme, it's terrible. I don't know who the fuck that is, but that theme is terrible. Hangman is suddenly drinking, just taking a couple shots because at this bar, he just happened to be there. I guess he wanted to become a lawyer, but he couldn't pass the bar. So Swerve and Hangman lay out this jobber, dojo crew, and then the OPPs, after they get killed, one gets hit in the head with a beer bottle, and a couple get staple gunned, and then a couple get hung with chains. I know what they're trying to do, but the overuse of weapons and the ridiculous nature of this whole thing, and all over, like across multiple programs, across multiple feuds, across multiple promotions. I know what they're trying to do, and I'm glad Swerve, Hangman, it gives them something to do, but are they going to get a third and take the trios titles? Like, I don't know what the end game here is, because I don't see Hangman or Swerve getting the title back at any point, at least any point soon. Maybe at Revolution, but that's another 4 months away, or at least 3.5 months. So, yeah, that was what it was. So was Moxley versus Mascara Dorada in a Blue League match. No, Moxley won with a choke. I am not going to watch anything with Moxley until he's off my television for about 6 months. Are you out of your mind? By the way, no seconds could be there, or they would be banned from AEW. Then Shafir is there after the match is over. Tony shows up in a gold robe and her tights. I assume could have been wearing nothing underneath. I have no idea. And Moxley was trying not to crack or corpse or whatever the hell it is the kids say. And that basically, she implied that she rolled over in bed and saw Mina Shirakawa. So, I guess Juice is just the luckiest man in the world. The semifinal match is going to be a hardcore holiday death match. Oh joy. Oh boy, more weapons matches after what I just talked about. Megan Bain has been traveling back and forth from Japan to the U.S. to do the AEW tapings, and God forbid if Megan and Shafir end up winning that match, because goddamn, I mean, if Shafir and Bain win the tag titles, they might as well just throw the tag titles in the goddamn trash, because you're giving it to fucking Shafir, who is not any good, is never going to be any good, will never be any good. So, Statlander is with Renee and basically talks about turning disbelief into that belief. And then turns Renee's head this way, this way, this way, putting Moxley's wife in whatever position she wants. You're welcome. Darby Allin took on Kevin Knight, and it was a Gold League match, and it was certainly something. I think Darby is bound and determined not to walk by the age of 35. Darby landed badly. His knee, slammed in the ropes. I was worried it was going to be like a Rick Martel Super Brawl 8 situation. If you get it, you get it. Thankfully, he seemed all right. He seemed a little bit jarred, but I guess he just walked it off. The guy's indestructible, but even human bodies like his have their limits. So a drop kick off the ramp, a big old lariat, collision. So we're getting some good stuff here. A DDT on the ramp, and a big old lariat over the top. That was pretty goddamn nice. And then suddenly a coast-to-coast. Kevin Knight hitting a coast-to-coast. And then hitting that big old splash, that rounding splash. He hits 1, 2, 3. Bit surprised there. Seeing Kevin Knight on this stage is great, because I remember seeing him in front of crowds of 500, even 200 people, whether it was Seattle or Everett. And he worked just as hard there. And credit to that man, because so goddamn talented. So good. The show of respect afterwards. Collision it was taped after Dynamite, so everybody could go home, be with their families for Thanksgiving and everything. Hopefully they were able to travel pretty quickly and get out before the flights were too insane. And I will say, I will probably not be watching Collision Thanksgiving. Not just because I'd be spending time with my family, but I just don't see the point in reviewing a tape show. If you happen to see a review, you will see the hat. And Shibata is going to face Eddie Kingston on that show. And then Claudio beat Orange Cassidy in a Gold League match. And then Renee had the Death Riders out there. It looked like that one meme of that white girl. And never mind, moving on from that. And then suddenly a bunch of faces and heels show up because we're just going to hype up the Continental Classic by having a big old melee with people human centipede together. That is your review. Did you expect match analysis of an Orange Cassidy match or a Moxley match? Are you out of your fucking mind? Or are you off your tits, as they say across the pond? That's it. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving to you all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Reitland. Until we revisit the Continental Classic again next week, happy trails to you.